Through the Comprehensive Agricultural Support Program, that is CASP, and ILIMA, let's say my initiatives, subsidized fertilizer, seeds, and production inputs are being provided to smallholder farmers. This is complemented by infrastructure support such as fencing, irrigation systems, boreholes, and mechanization, ensuring that farmers can sustain productivity even under rising input costs. In partnership with Land and Agricultural Development Bank, known as the Land Bank, and other development finance institutions, blended finance instruments are also being expanded to cushion farmers against market volatility and to strengthen their access to affordable credit. The Department of Agriculture, in collaboration with the Perishable Products Export Control Board, continues to assist emerging and smallholder farmers with support towards meeting the food safety and health requirements required by retail markets. Support is sourced from statutory levies authorized by the Minister of Agriculture, with a commitment that at least 20% of these levies is dedicated to fostering transformation. This initiative aims to integrate more smallholder farmers into various agricultural value chains. Government is also accelerating the localization of fertilizer production and promoting climate-smart farming to reduce dependency on imported inputs. Extension and advisory services play a key role here, transferring knowledge on sustainable soil management, water-efficient irrigation, and low-input farming practices. In addition, the Smallholder Empowerment Program, implemented in partnership with the Japan International Cooperation Agency, is guiding farmers towards market-led production, helping them meet food safety and health requirements for retail markets and integrating them into agricultural value chain. Furthermore, through strategic platforms such as NAMPO, in collaboration with Agri-SA, they are being deliberately utilized not only as exhibition spaces, but instruments of transformation. This approach ensures that small-scale farmers are not only supported through subsidies, but are also actively empowered to compete, grow, participate meaningfully in the agricultural economy. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, our efforts are focusing on protecting and enhancing the sustainability and profitability of small-scale farmers by providing access to markets, finance, resources, and technology. This is because re itse sentle gore balemi ba bannye ke motheo wa tshireletso ya dijo mo lefatsheng la rona. As government, we remain steadfast in our commitment to protecting their viability and resilience, recognizing that small-scale farmers are indeed the foundation of food security in our nation. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Our supplementary question will come from Honorable N.P. Nkabane.
Thank you so much, Deputy President, for providing us with that comprehensive response in this question. In your response, you did mention that there is a need to build internal resilience, which is critical for economic growth and also to strengthen our economic sovereignty as the state. Investments in biofuels can reduce some of the input pressure facing agriculture, reduce South Africa's exposure to global fuel price shock, and create new domestic demand for agricultural products. In this regard, Deputy President, to what extent is the government supporting investments in alternative energy solutions such as biofuel production for rural small-scale farmers to reduce their dependency on expensive fuel costs? That's the question, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Nkabane. Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nkabane. Yes, indeed, we realize that when there's an increase in fuel prices, it does hit hard on small-scale farmers as well. I agree with you that the reduction on fuel levy of 3 rand that the Minister of Finance introduced went some way to cushion them. But as I said in my main answer, that we are looking at other methods of ensuring that they are sustainable, including what I've said, the support that we give, including fencing, including making sure that they've got supply of fertilizers, seeds in an affordable manner. There's a lot of there are a lot of funds that are spent by the Department of Agriculture in particular to support small-scale farmers. So it's a combination of a number of initiatives that are being made available by the government to ensure that they can survive because, as I said earlier, food security is very important for the nation, and therefore our farmers need support, in particular the small-scale farmers. We will continue to support them through many of these initiatives that I've indicated in my reply earlier. Thank you very much, Honourable Member, for that question. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honourable C.F.B. Smith.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Deputy President. We are very excited about the initiative by Minister John Steenhuisen on moving to biofuel to alleviate. Deputy President, considering the implication of high fuel prices for food prices, the cost of living, and our challenges with food insecurity, malnutrition, and hunger as a country, further noting that the current 3 rand per litre fuel levy relief on petrol, which has provided temporary mitigation to rising fuel prices, is due to end on the 2nd of June this year. And while we recognize that any utilization of the compensation fund may require amendments to the Compensation Fund Act, which I am sure you would support, given the magnitude of our imminent national crisis. Has government considered using the reported 21.7 billion surplus compensation to reduce the impact of rising fuel prices?
Deputy President.
Yes, Honourable Member, as I said earlier, targeted support is going to continue. It's important that we don't abandon our farmers. I did indicate comprehensive agricultural support that we are providing, but there are other initiatives that we have put in place to ensure that we don't support and stop and support and stop. It must be a continuous support. Access to blended finance is critical for farmers, including small-scale farmers, to be able to continue their production. So, yes, the issue of fuel levy, the Minister of Finance will continue to look at that. As you're saying, it will come to an end, but we will look at other mechanisms of support should that not be continued. So we will not abandon the farmers. Thank you very much. And thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Mkutama.
Thank you, Chair. Deputy President, there are 2.5 million small-scale farmers which are basically black. Now, it is good to hear that the fuel subsidy will continue. Can you give guarantees that it will be made permanent? Now, the second point is there's huge input costs to farmers on fertilizers. Would you commit the government to set up factories for organic fertilizer production? Then I have a special message from small-scale farmers from Gauteng. They had marched in January to the union buildings and they submitted a memorandum there. 6 months later, they have not received any responses. They've asked me that you give a commitment that you will meet with them and give them a proper response to their memorandum. I thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yes, I'm not sure where the memorandum is. You said it was submitted in Gauteng. I assume you mean the province. But if it's submitted to national government, we will look at it. I don't have a problem meeting with them because one of the responsibilities that the President has given me is to deal with issues of land reform, including agriculture. So we will follow up and check where that memo is. But as I said earlier, that we are going to continue to support small-scale farmers. In fact, the Land Bank has committed 10 billion rand in this regard to continue this support. So the support will not stop. It will come, as you say, in various forms. I said earlier that we will subsidize issues of seeds, fencing, and a whole lot of costs that they incur in order to be productive. So we will look at that memo, Honorable Petana. I have not seen it, but I'm prepared to meet with them. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Trolley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Deputy President, skyrocketing costs of fertilizer and fuel is radically affecting the agricultural sector as a whole, the only sector that is showing growth in South Africa, not because of government, but despite it. Your colleague, Honorable Gwede Mantashe, said this week that he will be visiting the Straits of Hormuz to see why it is having such an impact on fuel and fertilizer availability and affordability. Apart from this astoundingly simplistic response, which will not address the concerns, which are actually compounded by the fact that fuel and fertilizer are bulk products that are transported by rail and road in rural areas where the roads have disintegrated, and notwithstanding your response about CASP, Ilima Letsima, blended finance scheme, what are you going to do to cushion the catastrophic impact this is having on the cost of production and productivity of our agricultural sector in South Africa? Because if we don't do something about it, we're going to lose even more jobs than the 345,000 jobs we lost in the first quarter.
Thank you. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Yes, Honorable Trollip, we need to sustain support in this sector. I'm not sure about the visit of Minister Manstash to the Strait of Hormuz, but we all know that the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz obviously had a very big impact on prices, including in our shores. So we do hope that the war will come to an end soon. There's been a lot of extensions on ceasefires, but it will take time before we can see prices going down. So it's important that we need to continue to look at our own local interventions on how we support our own farmers in a way that can keep them sustainable. Obviously, the fuel levy has been one of the mechanisms. That reduction helped them a lot, but all the other interventions I mentioned are very critical to continue to keep in place as negotiations are continuing to ensure that the war does not continue, because it does have a big impact, not only on farmers, but on prices generally, and not only in South Africa, but in the world broadly. But we will continue to support our own small-scale farmers. Thank you very much, and thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. The last supplementary question will be asked by Honourable NP Nkabane.
Thank you so much, Deputy President, for responding to our questions. The last question on my side is to establish if are there any mechanisms that you have put in place as government to ensure that those comprehensive interventions or support programs to our small-scale farmers reaches out to our communal farmers in the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, as well as Limpopo. Kuba sifuna uqinisekisa uba nabo bayabenefitha kwezi hlelo eninazo ningurhulumente. Enkosi kakhulu.
Enkosi Sekela Mongameli.
Enkosi Somlomo, Enkosi Honourable Member, priority yethu obviously is the rural areas. La uthola khona a lot of small-scale farmers. So when I talk about this response, we're really targeting them, in particular in the rural areas. So most of these plans that we have put in place, whether it's CASP or the targeted finance, are meant to benefit in the main abalimi in the rural areas, the small-scale farmers. And there are a number of them who are already benefiting. Almost 58,000 farmers, small-scale farmers, are benefiting. But we probably have not reached all of them. And therefore, we will intensify our interventions. When we go to provinces, particularly through our DDM interventions, one of the things we do is to take with us ministers of land reform and rural development, ministers of agriculture, and so on, and we engage with these farmers in rural areas and ensure that they can access these schemes. We have made sure that the land bank in particular is made accessible to supporting small-scale farmers as well. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Before I move to the second question, something I should have done in the beginning is to recognize the new Chief Whip of the second largest party, Honourable Breitenbach. You're most welcome. I hope you'll be able to work together as a team with all the other Chief Whips. And don't rely on no data to give you wrong tricks. Thank you very much. We now move to the second question to the Deputy President, which is question number 8, asked by Honourable S. Peters. The question is, since he assumed his role of assisting the President in the rollout of the district development model through effective coordination of the different spheres of government, which will improve the functioning of municipalities and address community concerns, what programs has he rolled out to ensure the alignment of budgets and/or investments for better or adequate access to health services for local communities? And which consequence management measures are in place for health officials who fail to deliver adequate health services, as many communities still lack basic and reliable services such as healthcare facility that operate 24 hours? Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, let me thank Honourable Peters for the question, which really highlights two critical dimensions of accountability and delivery in the health sector under the district development model. Honorable Speaker, since assuming the responsibility of coordinating the DDM, we have implemented several programs to improve alignment of budgets and investments in healthcare. Amongst others, this includes the following: increased investments in primary healthcare facilities, including clinics in communities and community health centers, particularly in underserved areas. Secondly, strengthening partnerships with the private sector to expand healthcare access where capacity constraints exist. Furthermore, the Presidency, in collaboration with the National Department of Health, are implementing what we call Ideal Clinic Realization and Maintenance, ICRM. We're doing this in all primary healthcare facilities across provinces. We do it as well in district municipalities and local municipalities. An ideal primary healthcare facility or community health care is defined as a clinic with good infrastructure, adequate staff, adequate medicine and supplies, good administrative processes, and also sufficient adequate bulk supplies, including water. Funding for ICRM is secured by the National Department of Health from the fiscus and cascaded to provincial departments to support primary health care facilities to achieve these required standards. Honorable Speaker, as honorable members would be aware, one of my delegated responsibilities is that of leading the country's response on HIV and TB under the banner of South African National AIDS Council, SANAC. As part of our work in SANAC, we conduct what we call policy in action. Now, policy in action activities in communities build up programs towards World AIDS Day and World TB Day every year. This culminates in our district accountability sessions led by the sector of people living with HIV, where government accounts to community members on the provision of healthcare services, and gaps are then identified. Regarding consequence management, government has reinforced accountability through the following: performance agreements for senior health officials linked to service delivery outcomes. 2, the application of disciplinary measures in cases of non-performance or negligence. And 3rd, we strengthen oversight by ensuring that provincial departments and the national departments are monitoring these systems. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, we acknowledge that challenges remain, particularly regarding the 24-hour services in many of our communities. And these are being addressed currently through phased infrastructure upgrades and human resource development. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable President. The first supplementary question will be asked by Honorable S. Peters.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy President. Given the persistent shortages of 24-hour healthcare facilities in many municipalities, what specific timelines and measurable targets has the department set under the district development model to expand access to round-the-clock healthcare services?
Thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Member, for the follow-up. What we are doing, Honorable Member, in order to make sure that we can achieve these objectives, we go out into these areas with the ministers of health. We meet with the premiers and the MECs in those provinces, and we look at areas that are most vulnerable, and we target them to ensure that we then roll out these programs. We know that many of our people have been concerned that clinics close early, at 6 o'clock, they're already closed, and when they have challenges in the evenings, they have nowhere to go. So with Minister Mtswaledi, we've been to a number of areas already where this program is rolling out very well. In fact, I can say without hesitation that a lot of resources have now been expanded to deal with this. More than 5 billion rand has been spent by the Department of Health to ensure that we roll out this program much faster. So it is happening, Honorable Member. We will continue monitoring the progress so that we reach all communities as soon as we possibly can. Thank you very much, and thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Second supplementary question will be asked by Honorable M. Sene.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Deputy President, given your role in troubleshooting service delivery hotspots, may you please share with the House on where the DDM has successfully integrated provincial health budgets with local infrastructure to transition a previously 8-hour facility into a 20-hour service, as well as how consequence management for senior health officials on long-term paid suspension is being fast-tracked to ensure that this fiscal drain does not impair health service. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Sene. I've already indicated that the Department of Health is putting a lot of resources in that regard, more than 5 billion for primary health care facilities throughout the country. Obviously, this is happening in a number of provinces. We don't have information now that we can give you as to which provinces in particular. It's been very successful, but we have been in a number of provinces where this program is being rolled out, in the Eastern Cape, in the Free State. We are recently planning with the Minister to go to the Western Cape, to Gauteng. But in terms of the specific area of focus, where I would say it's most successful is the health sector. In the health sector, we're doing quite well in terms of this integration of functions by national government, provincial, and local government. Because the DDM is really about integration to ensure that people get these services. So in the health sector, with these primary healthcare centers, we're doing quite well at the moment, but we need to do much more to reach many communities out there. Thank you very much, and thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable A.M. Van Zyl.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Deputy President, the district development model was meant to fix coordination failures and improve service delivery through the one plan and more centralised approach. Yet municipalities are still collapsing and provincial interventions are failing. Under the umbrella of basic service delivery and after 6 years of the DDM, can you name one municipality where residents can clearly say, my water works, my electricity is stable, and my municipality functions better? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Member, the challenges in municipalities are not the challenges of DDM. The DDM approach, it's an intervention. to assist these municipalities where there are challenges. And it is successful in many of the areas where I have been. Is there a problem?
Order, honorable members, are you not hearing at the back?
You can't hear?
I think they are just filibustering. You can continue, Deputy President.
Okay, I was wondering what's the problem. No, honorable member, the DDM is not failing. We know that some parties were not committed to it at the beginning, but I'm very happy these days we go with them because it's important that we integrate services. That's what the DDM is doing. Is national government assisting the local sphere. When we go there, we bring in the province and we attend to the challenges. So the challenges of municipalities will not be solved by only DDM intervention. We need to show that in the municipalities themselves, we have all of us as parties, we must appoint good councillors, people who are capable, appoint good city managers, and other officials in those municipalities. We can't rely on DDM. DDM is an intervention to assist, and it is succeeding. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable S.N. Swart.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Deputy Minister, and I really appreciate your reference to the selection of councillors who are capable, able, and I might like to add, God-fearing, trustworthy, and who hate dishonest gain, according to Exodus 18, verse 21. But I'd like to just thank you, Honourable Deputy Minister, for referring to increase in staff, medicine, access to water. One of the challenges is in consequence management, where officials are facing disciplinary actions but are suspended on full pay for months and even years. What, Honourable Deputy Minister, Deputy President, can be done to expedite disciplinary hearings against those officials that are facing disciplinary action? Otherwise, service delivery fails where those officials are not on duty and are staying at home having full salaries. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Yes, Honourable Member, we need to fix municipalities. We are doing exactly that. And one of the areas that we are focusing on is exactly what you are referring to, consequence management. I was recently with Minister Hlabisa, Deputy Minister Namashe, and also Minister Nonjo and others in the Tsobotla. And the reason we're there was to look at progress of the interventions we're making, because we realize that if you don't have the right people to do the work, you will not succeed. And I was very happy that even my own party had replaced people who were problematic and put the right ones. So do other parties. I met a lot of parties there. There were councillors from the EFF who were very happy to see me. And so on. So when parties appoint the right people, the right councillors, right mayors, and you said God-fearing, but I want to add people who respect the law and the rules. Very important. People who can act ethically, but they must hold accountable the city managers and all the managers in the municipality. So we are rolling that out. I was just citing the Tsobotla as an example. We're going to do it everywhere in all the municipalities to ensure that we fix local government. Thank you very much, and thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The last supplementary question will be asked by Honorable S. Peters.
Honorable Deputy President, regarding access to healthcare for communities, how does he plan to address the delayed response time by government-operated emergency medical services, particularly ambulances, that in many instances only arrive the following day, thereby placing the lives of patients at serious risk? In Heidedal, a patient passed away after waiting for 9 hours for an ambulance to arrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thanks to the member for her last question. Yes, service delivery is key, and this is one of the responsibilities the President has assigned me to ensure that people do receive services on time. So the issue of ambulances not arriving on time, it's something that as we go down through our DDM intervention, we are addressing that. We have received complaints in some of the areas, but we were recently in one of the provinces and we were quite happy with Minister Mtswaledi that we got a report that the clinic works very well. They are 24 hours. And we went into the communities. They told us that the ambulances do come on time. Obviously, one of the challenges they raise with us is not having enough of these vehicles. You know, local government will always complain about resources. So we need to support them. But even if they don't have enough, they have 2 or 3, they must make sure that those that they have do arrive on time when people are sick and they want to be helped. Obviously, some people stay a little bit far of cities, as we know, informal settlements and so on. So, but I will not accept that they must arrive the next day. It has to be on that particular day. It might take a bit of time because of distances, but we are dealing with it, Honorable Peters. And thanks for your question. Thanks, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. We now move to question 9, which has been asked by Honorable B.P. Nodada. The question is whether he has found it to be unfitting for members of Cabinet to not declare luxury gifts received from foreign governments. If not, what is the position in this regard? If so, what actions does he intend to undertake in this regard in his capacity as leader of government business? Honorable Deputy President. I'm sorry, Deputy President, if you can just take a seat. There's a point of order. What is the point of order, Honorable Member?
Speaker, I just want to ask, is the Deputy President serious with the last answer that he has given? In the face of our people, is that a serious answer that can be given to our people regarding the health matters that are currently going on currently?
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Member. I hear your question, but the Deputy President has answered, and I do think in his answer he did indicate that strides have been made, but there are some challenges. He also did indicate that it may not be enough to say in other areas ambulances arrive, and in other instances they even arrive the next day. So I do think he answered the question, but you may follow up maybe on another question in the next cycle when the Deputy President comes back to the session. Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, it is not acceptable for ambulances to arrive the next day. I did say that. That we are attending to this matter. They may arrive late because of distances, complications, but not the next day.
Order, honorable members, let's not have a dialogue.
Yes.
I think the Deputy President did hear the concerns being raised. Can we allow him to answer question 9?
The next question.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me thank Honorable Nodada for raising this important question that confronts all members of the House, including members of the Executive. Let me start by saying, Honorable Speaker, that government's position is very clear. Transparency and accountability are non-negotiable. Members of the Executive are required, in terms of the Executive Members' Ethics Code, to disclose all gifts above the prescribed threshold, including those received from foreign governments. Failure to declare such gifts would constitute a breach of the code. In this regard, the code states the following: a member must not accept any reward, benefit, or gift from any person or body that is intended or is an attempt to corruptly influence that member in the exercise of his or her duties or responsibilities as a public representative. Similarly, as members of Parliament, we are obliged, in terms of the Code of Ethical Conduct and disclosure of members' interests, to disclose our private interests to prevent any conflict between personal gain and public duty. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, in my capacity as leader of government business, I continue to emphasize strict compliance with ethical codes and will support any process necessary to ensure enforcement, including referral to the relevant ethics authorities where it is warranted. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Honorable Nodada, you'll take the first supplementary question.
Thank you so much, Speaker. Deputy President, in the DA's fight against crime and corruption, the President fined former Minister of Social Development for receiving luxury gifts, amongst other things, because no one is above the law, no matter how high your office is. This is why the DA joined the GNU to begin with, to fight crime and corruption across government, because it steals from the poor in this country. While we welcome the firing of a corrupt ANC minister, it is not merely enough. The receipt of personal luxury gifts must be banned. Given the fact that your wife was gifted a colossal diamond by Louis Liebenberg, who is on trial for fraud, racketeering, and money laundering, your ties to corruption tenderpreneur Edwin Sodi, and the multi-billion rand lottery license, is that why you are opposed to luxury gifts being banned? And how do you hold people accountable when you've been found very guilty of the very same ethics code that you speak about? Thank you so much.
Deputy President.
Yes. Honorable Speaker, let me repeat that as members of the House, all of us are responsible and all of us must live by the code. You know, institutions, not only Parliament, the executive, the cabinet, even the private sector, have rules so that we can ensure proper conduct. But where people have faulted, where mistakes have been made, then the rules must kick in. You were referring to, firstly, to Member Tolashe. Member Tolashe, as a minister, did appear before the Ethics Committee, if I recall, did appear before the Integrity Commission of the ANC, did appear before the President. So accountability did kick in. So we must in fact, commend the President for having taken steps when he realized that the explanation is not satisfactory. He took steps, which is important. In some instances, Parliament itself takes steps where they think there must be corrective measures. Some of the issues that the member is raising are not really relevant. I have never received a gift from the lotto. I don't know what he's talking about. Let's not mix things. We are saying if a member received a gift, the issue of the diamond was long dealt with by this House. I don't know why the member keeps bringing it. Maybe he was not here. But we dealt with that matter, went to the ethical committee, and I did respond. Ethical committee dealt with the matter. Because as a leader myself, I must lead by example. When this House says, Deputy President, we think you are wrong, I must accept. There's nobody above the law, and it must start here. When the leader says, yes, I accept, here you say I'm wrong, I accept, and I will take responsibility and accountability. But so it must go for all of us. All of us as members, as ministers, where we are wrong, we must accept and accept corrective measures. And we are doing so. That's why these committees have been set up. Nobody's above the law, not the president, not the deputy president, not ministers, not members of parliament. All of us abide by the law. That's why the president, when the issue was raised that I'm sure parliament is dealing with, his first response was, yes, let's allow parliament to deal with these issues. I will abide by the processes that parliament is going to undertake. What else do we want? What else do we want?
Thank you, Deputy President.
No.
There was a point of order. If you can take a seat. Honorable Michalakis, what's your point of order?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I see the Deputy President is sweating a bit. Can I offer him a handkerchief before he continues with his question?
There is not a point of order.
Shut up.
He will accept it
I've
if he
only
wants
blown
to.
my nose with it once, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honourable Member. I have noted your offer. I'm sure the Deputy President will decide how he deals with the offer being made. Deputy President, we can move to the next supplementary question.
Don't worry, member, I have my own.
The second supplementary question will be asked by Honourable A.N. Kumbaka.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Deputy President, following the concerns raised regarding the declaration of gifts received by members of the executive and mindful of the constitutional obligation on public representatives to uphold the highest standards of ethical conduct, does government intend to strengthen and standardize the current disclosure framework to ensure that any gifts or benefits received from foreign governments, state entities, or diplomatic counterparts are declared transparently and consistently in a manner that protects the integrity of public office and reinforces public confidence in the executive? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Yes, Honourable Kombani, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development is currently looking at the review of the ethical code and other processes. In fact, on the 3rd of March this year, they published, in fact, didn't publish, they asked interested parties who are interested to make a contribution in this process to please do so. So they made a call for interested parties to make their own submissions because they want to see if there are any gaps on our ethical code so that if there are any gaps, they can be closed. We know that the code may not be perfect, so I think we should welcome that process and ensure that the code is reviewed and make sure that gaps are closed and ensure that everything that has to do with the code of ethical conduct, disclosure of members' interest in parliament, all those things are relooked at and that there are no gaps that are there to make sure that we can work in a proper manner. So yes, Honourable Member, it is happening. Thank you very much, and thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Dr. Hlophe.
Right. Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. Deputy President, here is a follow-up question.
Yes.
Can you provide us with a list of all of declared gifts of all cabinet ministers and deputy ministers, the value of those gifts, and whether or not such gifts were received in personal or private capacity? If not, why not?
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Dr. Hlophe, as far as I remember, there is a register and it's open to the public. So you can actually go and see it. It is available. Yeah, it is. It's actually available to the public. So what you need to do is just to go to the Cabinet Secretary and say, I would like to have a look. You will see. I don't have to. I think even in Parliament it is available and it's open to the public. If not, we can check. But as far as I know, those registers are open for scrutiny.
For a former judge.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President.
Very disappointing.
Honourable Hlazo Webster.
Thank you, Speaker. Deputy President, if I were to theme your line of response today, I would theme it, nobody is above the law, because that has been consistent in your responses this morning. And so perhaps let us start with you. Let's start with the proverbial man in the mirror, the man on the podium today. Section 96 of the Constitution says cabinet members may not expose themselves to any risk of a conflict between their official responsibilities and their private interests. And this Sunday, it was reported that individuals linked to you allegedly have business ties to the company that was awarded the 180 billion rand lotto license. There appears to be an increasingly interconnected network between politically connected individuals, lottery interests, and business entities that are connected to you. Now, I want to ask, Mr. Deputy President, did you or anyone connected to your office have any involvement, influence, or interest in this tender process? And if so, would you support a full investigation into the tender process in line with nobody being above the rule of law and in line with Section 96 of the Constitution?
That's another question.
Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Well, Honourable Member, I guess you were in the House the past few months. Minister Pakstau, who's responsible for that work, delayed the appointment of the lotto in order to investigate. So you don't need another investigation. That investigation, if I'm correct, is probably about to be concluded. It's almost a year. If you recall, the people were supposed to be appointed this license last year, June. We are almost in the new year, June. So for the previous year, there was an investigation. But let me say this for the record. There are many people I know in this country. Some of them has been my friends for more than 20, 30 years. When I went to politics, they went into business. So you are saying to me, please don't see them anymore. Don't associate with them because they are in business. Nobody's saying you are giving them business. You are saying, no, don't associate with them because they are in business now. Some of them were in jail with me, were in the struggle with me. They are in business today. I'm in politics. They remain my friends, and they will remain my friends. I'm not going to walk away from my friend because it's in business. But what I will not do is to go to a department of government and say, give my friend a business. That I will not do because I've never done that. But I will not walk away from my friends because they're in business, or they are in a church, or they are in politics. We remain friends and let them succeed in business, not because of me, on their own. And those people you are talking about, that News 24 wrote about, are people who are credible business people. News 24 did not say for once they are doing irregular business, anything illegal. They are just, oh no, they are friends of the DP. And so what? They are doing their own business. They remain my friends. I will not do anything that is against the rules and interfere with procurement for the benefit of my friends. That I will not do. If you say I should not do that, I agree with you. That I will not do. But let's not say to people, abandon your friends because they are now successful business people. It's never done. Thank you, Honorable Member. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The last supplementary question will be asked by Honorable P.P. Nodada.
Thank you, Speaker. Deputy President, nobody says abandon your friends. But it is actually problematic when you've got friends that are accused of fraud, racketeering, and money laundering. You must find that very fishy. And here are the facts. The person that won the multi-billion rand tender for the lotto contract accompanied you to the State of the Nation address. Don't you find that fishy? For them to get that multi-billion rand tender, yet they accompanied you to the State of the Nation address. I mean, Deputy President, you've been accused of civil with no ethics. Thank you so much.
Deputy President, if you can just take a seat, there's a point of order. Honorable Dagmo.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I want to raise a point of order in terms of Rule 85 in regard to reflection on members. As the Honourable Nodada would know, that rule says that no member may impute improper motives to any other member. And it's clear, even arising from the Deputy President's response to the previous question where he explained the issue of friendship, that Honourable Nodada continues in the way that he's asking questions to impute improper motives, and he, like all of us, are aware that you can bring a substantive motion. No one wants to undermine the accountability and the Deputy President's
Impute improper motives to any other member or cast personal reflection upon a member's integrity or dignity or verbally abuse a member in any other way. And the second part of the rule says a member who wishes to bring any improper or unethical conduct on the part of another member to the attention of the House may do so only by way of a separate substantive motion comprising a clearly formulated and proper substantial charge that, in the opinion of the Speaker, prima facie warrants consideration by the House. And I do want to say, Honourable Nodada, in the way in which you pose the question, while you may have said, don't you find it difficult, somewhere towards your last question when you were asking about whether the President shouldn't act, it can be assumed that you are already casting aspersion. And I think for that it's important to withdraw that part. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Speaker. I would withdraw that part, but I would like the Deputy President to answer the question, please.
You're personal, Wena.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me answer the question. Many of the people I invited to the State of the Nation address, to SONA, are friends that I've known for more than 20, 30 years. Some of them before they became business people, before they became wealthy, if they are. I don't recall any of them doing any regular business or being criminals. If they are criminals, they are being criminalized by Honorable Nodada. You are saying Mr. Tembe is a criminal because he won a tender. I don't know him to be a criminal, but if you think so, you can go to any nearest police station and open a case. If you know anybody around the DP, or including my children, that they are criminals, go to a nearest police station and open a case. Don't have a problem when black people become wealthy, because that's what I sense. When black people become wealthy, oh yeah, they must have stolen somewhere. They must have gotten a tender somewhere irregularly. It's even shameful if it's said by a black man like yourself. I think we should respect the fact that black people are allowed to do business like anybody else. Let's not, every time black people do business, oh yeah, no, what have they stolen? My friends have not stolen anything, and I'll continue to invite them to Parliament. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. We now move to question 10, which has been asked by Honorable W.J. Boshoff. The question is whether the government intends to adopt 1652 as the cut-off year for land reform and restitution. If not, what is the official position on the appropriate cut-off date? If so, in what way is reliance placed for such a position on Section 25 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, 1996, and the Restitution of Land Rights Act, 2022 of 1994? Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me thank Honorable Boshoff for raising this important question, which President Cyril Ramaphosa refers to as the original sin. The original sin of colonialism and apartheid. The arrival of Europeans in this country in 1652 was the beginning of a protracted process which took away land from the indigenous African people, making them pariahs in the land of their birth. Honorable Boshoff, government does not intend to adopt 1652 as a cut-off date for land reform and restitution. But the current legal framework is working and is guided by sections 25.7 of the Constitution, which provide for restitution claims for dispossessions after the 19th of June 1913, and the Restitution of Land Rights Act of 1994, which operationalizes the constitutional provision. In my view, Honorable Speaker, these provisions are adequate in dealing with the issue of land reform in South Africa. Any change to this framework would require lengthy constitutional and legislative processes which will further be complicated by developments that have taken place in our country over 3 centuries. However, government remains committed to a just, equitable, and lengthy, legally sound reform program that addresses historical dispossessions while ensuring economic stability and food security. Working with Ministers Noncho, Steenhuisen, Tlhabisa, Deputy Ministers Ngamash and Masemula, we are fast-tracking processes to enable land to be transferred to the rightful owners and providing them support for those who are ready to till the land. We have found, Honorable Speaker, that in many areas where we go, people who have received the land complain that they don't have support in order to till the land. Where they want to farm, they don't have tractors, and so on. So we are now providing what we call post-settlement support to enable people to use the land profitably, to use it for development and ensure that it is productive. So lastly, Honorable Speaker, we accept that there have been delays in the implementation of this program, because I think we should accept that we are not where we should have been. And this is due to, amongst others, disputes emanating sometimes from families, sometimes even from communities. And therefore, delays do happen in this program, but we have decided that we should fast-track the process of land reform, and I'm working very well with the ministers and deputy ministers that I've referred to ensure that people get the land as soon as we possibly can, transfer the land to them to make it productive and make sure that they can acquire ownership of that land. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. The first supplementary question will be asked by Honorable W.J. Boshoff.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Deputy President. I will return to the year of 1652 in my last follow-up. What I want to know is that we are still busy with the first order land claims, and the whole bunch of the second order land claims still lie somewhere in the future. Does the Deputy President foresee a stage at which land reform and restitution is done and that farming can continue without the idea that there might be a new claim? In other words, the present legislation, does it constitute a destination, or is it just a milepost in a process which will go on even beyond? I thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President.
I'm not sure if I understand your question. If you can repeat it.
Honorable Boshoff, if you can please repeat your question.
I'll try to repeat it a little bit shorter. I want to know, is there ever going to be a time when land reform is done? Or are we going to reach the one milepost and then there will be another and yet another and yet another?
Thank you, Deputy President.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think I understand, Honorable Boshoff. Will there be time when we say land reform is done? It will be when the land, all the land has been returned to their rightful owners. That's the only time. The only thing is that it must happen in our lifetime. So we're going to push it faster, Honorable Boshoff. We want that land. Let's come back to the rightful owners as soon as possible. That's what we're going to do. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable S.M. Maeso.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Deputy President, given that the land is a key means of production, and Section 25 of the Constitution and the Restitution of Land Right Act seek to address the results of the past racial dispossession. Does the government agree that limiting restitution to an arbitrary early date will undermine the goal of equitable land reform and the economic emancipation of the black majority? What steps is the government taking to ensure land reform benefits the majority who were dispossessed over centuries, not just a narrow historical window? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Maecho. You're quite right. We must ensure as government that restitution benefits the majority of our people whose land was taken away. So the provisions that I spoke about, they actually deal with the challenges of the Land Act of 1913. Because what happened in 1913 is that the apartheid regime legislated and formalized discrimination and the stealing of land from the African people. So we must deal with that. We must ensure that this Land Act of 1913 is dealt with properly to ensure that our people get the land. And we are not going to waver and delay and so on. We're going straight into it and make sure that we deal with it so that the land must be returned. Umhlaba mawubuye kubanikazi bawo. Mayibuye. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Matthias.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let it be on record that the EFF rejects a revisionist, new liberal and sell-out arrangement that seeks to confine land dispossession to 1913 as if the conquest and violent destruction of African land ownership only began with the Native Land Act. Colonial dispossession, as we know better, the racial land accumulation predates the Union of South Africa, which is the foundation of our current problems of landlessness. Now, in the light of these realities, Deputy President, do you accept that the market-based approach to land reform has failed, admitting that new liberal policy limitations have imposed the challenges that we experience to ensure that land is transferred to the rightful owners? Lastly, what decisive policy intervention will be undertaken to fundamentally and radically reform land ownership and remove patterns of racial land concentration in land ownership as we have it currently? Thanks, Deputy President.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Member, for the follow-up. I have already indicated the difficulties with going back to 1652. I know there are many people who like that, who have been whispering to me to say, let's go back there. It's got its own complications, but I'm saying when the regime of the time legislated the stealing of land, that's where we focus. And I think the 1913 Land Act is a piece of legislation that we are destroying to bring back land to its rightful owners. Of course, everybody must access land. That's why we are helping those who want to access land. There are programs that government has set up. So it's not market-driven per se. What government does...
Honourable Deputy President, if you could
Yes.
just take your seat. I see there is a point of order. Honourable Nkama.
Thank you, Chair. Deputy President, you can't insist that 1913 is the point of dispossession. We had already lost all our land by then. So if we go to 1913, we're not going to be able to address the land question. What are you so terrified about going to 1652 with the arrival of the settlers?
Member, that is not a point of order. You are now entering into a debate. Deputy President, please proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. And Honorable Pitama, is not a point of order, it's a point of debate. I've already said, Honorable Speaker, we're talking about 3 centuries, and this country has developed. Angazi ukuthi la iparliament ikhona bekuhlala bani la as we speak. Asas. We have developed so much that we had to start somewhere. But we're starting where there was legislation that was enforced. It will take us to where we want to go to access land. And we're going to work hard to ensure that people do receive the land as far as it is possible. Where they used to live as far as possible, and where they used to live is not available, they get compensated. I was answering this question that is not so much market-driven. What government does purchase land for people in order to till it. And where it is impossible for them to get land where they used to live, they get compensated. And where possible, they get given another piece of land to be able to till. Where people don't want to till the land, they get compensated as well to receive funds which they can use in line with the value of that land.
Deputy President,
so there are mechanisms that are happening.
Deputy
Thank you,
President,
Honorable Deputy.
there is a point of order, so if you can just take your seat. Yes, Honorable Matiase.
Deputy President, this have confidence in you, but you can't be speaking in two tongues from both sides of your mouth. Please tell us exactly what policy trajectory on land reform and land transformation we are going to have under your presidency. Under your presidency.
Honorable Matiase.
Please.
Honorable Matiase, that is not a point of order, but the Deputy President. Honorable members, could I just ask that you do give... Honorable members, could you please allow the Deputy President the opportunity if he wants to reply to Honorable Matiase, as he also posed a question. Deputy President, it is your choice.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Honorable Matthias Zaiko Leonto, as campaign la, sapendule imibuzo nje. Don't worry about the future. There are complications on issues of land reform, so we need to be realistic when we deal with them. And we can debate it. We can debate it. At the moment, we've got legal instruments. Let's use them. Perhaps the EFF might want to bring a debate about this matter at some point, but I'm saying let's use the legal instruments that we have now to fast track. Because people are saying, even with the legal instruments you have, and that's what we must address. We must begin to move fast using the instruments we have. Honorable Matthias Soikulu.
Honourable Deputy President,
thank you very much,
my apologies, there is still another point of order. Honourable Lechwit Chabalala.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. I want to know if the Minister can take a question on this issue.
Honourable Member, we do not take questions on questions. Honourable Mashlole.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Yes. No,
I want to raise a point of order, Deputy Speaker, on two things.
it doesn't take a
My
genius
apologies,
to
Honourable
understand.
Mashlole. Deputy President, if you can just take your seat, please. Please proceed.
One, it doesn't take a genius to understand that the Deputy President is answering questions. So you can't stand up and say, he's willing to take a question. Because
He's not answering questions.
The second point of order is that you have allowed, for the third time, that the Deputy President answers questions, but there are some people who don't agree with those answers. And you allow them to make a statement of what they would want to hear the Deputy President to say. That's my point of order. Do not allow spurious point of orders.
Honourable Mashlole, members, please give me an opportunity. I have ruled on the matter of a question in a question session, and that is not in order. Secondly, honourable members, I have allowed the person to speak, waiting for the point of order, and then have ruled them out of order. So, quite frankly, your point is superfluous. Deputy President, have you concluded with this question? We can then proceed. The fourth supplementary.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I think we're done for now with this one. I'm sure there will be further debates going forward about 1652. I'm not closing it. I can see there are people who are very interested in that discussion. Honourable Matthias Sizaikulum. Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. We're not quite done with the question. We still have a fourth supplementary.
Okay.
The Honourable Ghana.
Yes, okay.
Na khensa mtshamaxitulu tatana DP a hi sunguleni hi pfumelelana ku ri no hi Saturday vafana va ta vuya na yona eMbombela va ta vuya na yona vafana eMbombela so lexi ni lavaka ku xi tiva tatana DP hi ku ri vanhu va ri no ti-process leta n'we ta ku tlherisela emisava ka vanhu ti teka nkarhi wo leha and mi kuma ku ri no vanhu lava va nga submita ku ri va yimele misava va dlina va hundze emisaveni va yimele ku ri misava ya vona yi tlheriseriwa ka vona so mi endla njhani tanihi mfumo ku ri no misava yi tlhelerisiwa ka vanhu hi xihatla hikuva vanhu va khale va yimele ku ri misava ya vona yi vuyela emindyangwini ya vona ni khensa swinene mutshama xitulu vafana va ta vuya na yo Saturday up the bucks.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Tatan kana pfumela swi ta va tano ku fanelekile ku ri misava u vuyela ka vanhu hi swi tweli ta endla ku ri hatlisa va kuma tiko ra vona va ha ri la misaveni. It's very important what Honourable Ghana is saying. We need to increase the pace. We need to fast track. That's why every time we talk about land reform, we talk about fast tracking. Because as we say, vanhu khale va yimile fane hi hatlisa ku ri va kuma misava wa vona. So na pfumelana na n'wina leswi swi endlaku sweswi hi tirha as different departments. We're not leaving it to one ministry. We're moving together because there is this challenge that sometimes land gets transferred. People don't have the tools to work the land because it's another ministry that must do it. So this coordination, particularly with our DDM approach, has been very helpful for us to fast track. And I can see it happening, but we need to push even faster. You can see that nayo. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Boshoff.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker and Deputy President. The ownership of individual parcels of land is one thing that you dealt with The other thing that you dealt with is relates to 1652 as a certain historical symbolic date. And I want to put it to you that that approach delegitimizes the existence of Afrikaners as an indigenous nation, as actually being a kind of an accident or even a crime of history. We cannot speak about land ownership if, as a nation, we are not recognized in South Africa, and at present, we are only recognized as individual citizens. I want to know from the Deputy President, does he envisage a formal recognition of the Afrikaner folk as an indigenous nation of South Africa?
The Honourable Deputy President.
Well, I've heard that the Afrikaners also have a cry that, they were dealt a blow by the English. At some point, they fought the Anglo-Boer War, etc. But we don't have a problem in working with Afrikaners, but they must also accept that in a point in time in history, they also became part of those who deprive the Africans of their land, Honorable Boshoff. So we must start there. We in Sotho, that you have joined them and pushed us away. So if you want to come back to us, you must come and confess your sins and say, hey, I was wrong, I want to be this side. Then we can talk. Yeah, let's leave it there for now. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
We now move to question number 11, and it has been asked by the Honourable Ndamase. The question is, given that according to the Commission for Gender Equality 2023-24 annual report, access to land for women is still a problem due to discriminatory customary law administered by traditional leaders in their areas, as highlighted by the fact that 13% of the land is owned by women compared to 71% owned by men. What steps does the government intend to take to sensitize traditional leaders about women's rights to land and thereby ensure that land distribution is not discriminatory against women? And what plans are in place to improve the current status of land ownership of women and their security of tenure? The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank Honourable Ndamase for asking this crucial question about women empowerment, especially on the issue of land in rural communities. Honourable Ndamase, this year, 2026, marks 70 years since 20,000 women from different spheres of life marched to the Union Building on the 9th of August 1956 to protest the introduction of women carrying passbooks and the oppression of women. The year 2026 marks 30 years since the adoption of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which clearly commits to full empowerment and equal participation of women in economic, political, and social life. The ministers, deputy ministers, and I are working with the National House of Traditional and Khoisan leaders, with all other spheres of government, in combating any form of discrimination against women, especially on matters of land ownership and security of tenure. Honourable Deputy Speaker, as such, to improve women's land ownership and tenure security, the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform is prioritizing women beneficiaries in land reform programs, strengthening legal protections for women under communal land systems, and expanding access to agricultural support, finance, and extension services for women farmers. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, COGTA, conducts awareness programs on constitutional rights, gender equality, and non-discriminatory land allocation practices that are happening. Partnerships have also been strengthened with the Commission for Gender Equality and Civil Society to drive advocacy and training. In conclusion, Honorable Deputy Speaker, re tshwanetse go netefatsa gore bomme le bona ba fumana lefatshe, ba itirele, mme ba kgone go sireletsa maphelo a bone le malapa. Women must be empowered and they must be able to till the land as well. They must be able to own the land and be able to protect themselves and their families. Re a itse gore mme o tshwara thipa ka bogaleng. By empowering women, we empower families and communities. By empowering families and communities, we empower the nation. Wathinta bafazi, wathinta imbokodo. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
I have been informed that the Honourable Pulwane will take charge of the first supplementary question on behalf of the Honourable Ndamase in accordance with Rule 13710A. I now recognise Honourable Pulwane.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Re a leboga, Deputy President. Ke nnete bomme ba swara thipa ka bogaleng. The access for land for women is a major area of empowering women to be self-sufficient and not to be beholden to abusive relationships. We must also note that 45.5% of children are raised by their mother alone. The stereotype of women being defined and understood as only a parent and a wife, a partner or a wife of a man is discrimination, Deputy President. What progress has the government made in providing access to land for women, for human settlement as social housing also benefit the women?
The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Kia leboga, Honourable Polwane. Ke nnete di programo tse ke bolelang ka tsona di a fitlha le mo tsa human settlements. We don't only empower women who want to be farmers in rural areas, but also women who want to access opportunities to have decent shelter. So, ke a dumelana le wena gore re tshwanetse gore bomme ba kgone le bona ba fumane matlo is ka ba fela taba tša go lema. We know that in the past, women were discriminated from accessing housing, especially if you are not married, they'll have problems in accessing subsidies. The Minister of Human Settlement has attended to that challenge, and today women are able to benefit from our policies of human settlements. There is also a new bill that is being piloted, which is equitable access to land bill, which I'm sure members will be dealing with, which is going to allow more people to have access to land, including women and people with disabilities as well. So, we must broaden access to land for women in various spheres, agriculture, in land, in housing, but also in other spheres of life. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Khanile.
Ngiyabonga, Deputy Speaker. Deputy President, given that Section 9 of the Constitution guarantees equality and Section 25, subsection 5 provides for measures to enable equitable access to land, and with reference to findings in the Commission for Gender Equality's 2023-24 annual report regarding gender disparities in land ownership, aligned with the Democratic Alliance's policies of equitable access, property rights, and tenure security, will the government introduce stronger accountability mechanisms for traditional councils, relevant land allocation structures, and accelerated transfer of ownership rights to women in rural and communal areas? I thank you.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Well, thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Kanyila. In fact, stronger measures have already been introduced, and we continue to strengthen them. Should you feel that they are not strong enough, you can come and see me and make further suggestions, but we are doing it already. We've put in a lot of measures in this regard, and I won't falter you if you think they are not strong enough. I'll look at what you wish should still happen beyond what we are doing already, because we've put in these measures. Perhaps what we should do, look at this equitable access to land bill. Maybe you should make more inputs there, because it's already being processed, to say where you think there are gaps, where we should strengthen, will be able to do so. But the current government has introduced a lot of programs in support of women to ensure women empowerment, and we continue to strengthen them. Thank you, Honourable Member. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
The third supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Mtetwa.
Deputy President, let me give you a clue on where to get the land to give our women. We used to have in the history of this country Europeans-only signage in public infrastructure, and the following nationals were there: the British colony, the Dutch East India Company, the French Huguenot in Wellington here in Cape Town, the German Kaiser who established the Scramble of Africa, and the Portuguese in 1498. So I'm extending even 1652 to 1498 when Vasco da Gama came here. Then I'm saying, take from these nationals and establish demographic parity according to racial classification in terms of population representation. Yeah. Can you do that? Since we have them here in the country, these nationals.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Nyabonga Babu Mtetwa Nyambos. Hayi ngajabule first ngaba nesikhathi sokuyidebate le, because I can see it's a very interesting topic that everybody wants to come from different angles. We have just dealt a bit with 1652. Manje we're not singalanda ngapha ku 1498. What about having a debate? Maybe, Honourable Deputy Speaker, you need a seminar for parliamentarians to have a discussion on land. Yeah. You have a plan B? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So we will debate that. Yeah. Okay. Ulungile Nyambos, but since our debate, we will land bill. Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. We debate and come with a solution. Honourable Deputy Speaker, thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. The fourth supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Hadebe.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy President, in keeping with the prioritization of women, given the Presidency's declaration that GBV and femicide is a national crisis, and that COCTA is implementing training initiatives with traditional governance structures to address this crisis, how is the Presidency working with COCTA to ensure that traditional leadership structures are effectively integrated into a unified national response to GBVF and women's land rights, rather than operating through fragmented or parallel initiatives? Specifically, Honourable Deputy President, what formal coordination structures exist between the Presidency and COCTA to ensure coherent implementation and accountability across these initiatives? Thank you.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Hadebe, for the follow-up. Yes, I agree with you. In fact, we work very well with traditional leaders on this matter, particularly through the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders. We address these issues. I did mention this earlier in my input that we, with the relevant ministers, but together with the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, we are dealing with the issue. At the time I was referring mainly to issues of land, but generally the issue of gender equality and so on is part of our agenda when we engage with the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, together with COCTA. So we are looking into it, and I think once we have traditional leaders on board, it makes things to move smoothly because of the challenges that you probably might have in rural communities. So it is attended to. Thank you very much, Honourable Hadebe. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Pulwane.
Thank you once more again, Deputy Speaker. Deputy President, one of the gaps identified by the CGE in its study, it found that there is a fragmentation approach to the allocation of communal lands in the three simple provinces. Furthermore, there is no defined coordination or consolidation framework to guide the allocation of communal land. My question is, what measures can the government take to ensure that a consolidated framework that deals with the communal allocation is established? Thank you.
The Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Rea leboga, Honourable Polwane. We ourselves have noticed that challenge. We've already discussed it with the Minister of Human Settlements to look at how we can deal with that. What I found more useful is that when we work in a coordinated approach, we are able to deal with fragmentation. Because you're quite right, if you look at developments throughout the country, different provinces, developments are skewed, are not moving in an equal way, and even in same provinces. So the issue of fragmentation has been discussed with the minister to strengthen how they decide on developments, because it's not just allocating subsidies to provinces, but it's also deciding where developments are going to take place, who's going to benefit, and a coordinated approach helps. And one of the things I should say is that the coordinated approach that brings different ministers is quite helpful, because in the past we have seen people be put in places where there are no services, because the Department of Human Settlement has got subsidies, but the Department of Education is not there to build schools. Department of Transport and Roads is not there to deal with roads. So we are closing that gap to ensure that our approach must be the whole of government. Government must move together, and by doing so, we will do away with fragmentation. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Ke a leboga.
The last question has been asked by the Honourable Mokoena Zondi. The question is whether, with reference to his reply to oral question 3 on 19 March 2026, and in light of the persistently high levels of violent crime in the Republic, as evidenced by the approximately 170 murders that have been recorded on the Cape Flats since the deployment of the South African National Defence Force under Operation Prosper, the government has implemented any specific measures to strengthen intelligence-led policing and interagency coordination following the findings of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into alleged criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system, commonly known as the Madlanga Commission, on the systemic dysfunction within the criminal justice system? If not, why not? If so, what are the relevant details of the specific measures that have been implemented in the security cluster departments and or agencies involved, and what timelines for implementation? The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker, let me thank the Chief Whip of the Opposition, Honourable Mokoena Zondi, for this important question about criminality in our criminal justice system. Honourable Zondi, the safety of our communities remains the priority of government. As such, we are continually investing in strengthening the criminal justice system to be able to fight crime and ensure safer communities. I'm confident that you will agree that the work of the Madlanga Commission is already delivering desired results. This is because in the immediate work of this commission, including, of course, recommendations from the Zondo Commission, this has ensured that we strengthen crime intelligence capabilities, improve coordination between SAPS, crime intelligence, state security, and other agencies, establish joint operational structures within the justice, crime prevention, and security cluster, expand intelligence-led operations in identified hotspots, including the Cape Flats, and also enhance information sharing systems across all government agencies. In addition, Honourable Deputy Speaker, in addition to the deployment of the South African National Defence Force under Operation Prosper, the SAPS, in conjunction with the national and provincial partners, is implementing a range of strategic adjustments to deal with gang-related and organized crime. This includes the refinement of stabilization and anti-gang strategies aligned to an organized crime threat approach, strengthen intelligence-led policing, improve coordination between detectives, crime intelligence, and prosecutors, and also enhanced intergovernmental cooperation through established platforms such as the Anti-Gang Priority Committee. The implementation of these measures, including operational coordination, is already underway. Medium-term reforms, including capacity building and systems integrations, will be implemented over the medium-term expenditure framework period. In conclusion, Honourable Deputy Speaker, government continues to monitor the impact of these interventions and will adjust its strategies where necessary to ensure safer communities. I thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
I've been informed that Honourable Douglas will take charge of the first supplementary question.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Deputy President, I am from the Cape Flats, and since the ANC-NDF has been deployed there, approximately 170 people have been murdered despite Operation Prosper. Does this not confirm that the crisis is not merely operational, but is rooted in a collapsed and compromised intelligence and criminal justice system as exposed by the Mandlanga Commission? And does government therefore accept that gangsterism on the Cape Flats is being fueled not only by gangsterism and crime, but also wider issues such as state and ANC-DA complicity in criminal cartels on the Cape Flats, mass youth unemployment? And if so, Deputy President, given that the SANDF deployment has made little measurable difference, what consequence management will there be? What is being done to make sure that the people that are judging those people, the people that are participating, and the Minister of Police is properly investigated and held to account for his role? He may be on holiday now, but we want to see action, Mr. Chair. Everybody that's helping these cartels, Mr. Deputy President, needs to be held accountable. They are part of the problem. It's not only the gangsters, it's also the politicians and the law enforcement people that are implicated, and we need to see justice, and we need to see action now, and SANDF must do more to stop the crime. Thank you.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Atlas. You come from the Cape Flats. Obviously, you have more information. One of the things I asked my advisors yesterday was that we do need to get stats from what's happening there. We know that the SADF has been there through Operation Prosper, and from face value, from where we are, we think they are doing a great job. But from listening to you, you are saying you're not happy with the progress there, and there's somebody screaming at the back saying, yes, we're not happy. So what I'm going to do is to get stats from them. How many people have been arrested, how many guns have we retrieved, etc., etc. Unfortunately, I don't have them now. I couldn't get those stats. But as soon as I get them, I'll send it to you, because I will also check myself, because I also want to have a sense that our intervention is working. And it might require that we do visit the area, so that, like you, we can have first-hand information and not desktop reports. So I might make time to come there. Maybe I'll go with you to see what's happening in the Cape Flats. But we must commend the President for ensuring that he has reinforced SAPS to do its work. So they have to do that work. And if there is any evidence that they are not doing much, we will intervene. Thank you very much for that question. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Sekopo.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy President, the President has directed that the law enforcement agency should act on the recommendation of the interim report by the Mandlanga Commission. What is the assessment that the President can share with the House on the investigation of the prima facie evidence of wrongdoing by individuals allegedly implicated of the recommendation by the Commission of Mandlanga, interim recommendations by the law enforcement agencies, including the Commission's recommendation on the task teams of SAPS? Thank you, Deputy President.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Sekopo, you would recall that what was submitted to the President was an interim report by the Madlanga Commission. And because of that interim report, the President started taking action where it was necessary. And I think we all should support that. Of course, we know that the Commission is not yet done with its work. The President is awaiting to get a full report, because once he gets a full report, he will be able to then introduce measures that are very comprehensive in dealing with these issues of criminality. But he decided that even with the interim report, let him start doing something. But I would agree with you that because it's an interim report, it may not be seen to be comprehensive, but he probably didn't want to put the cart before the horse, so he is waiting for a full report, and once that is with him, you will see a full comprehensive intervention that is going to take place to uproot corrupt elements from our system and ensure that we change the system, we reform it, and ensure that criminality can be something of the past in our criminal justice system. Thank you very much. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
The third supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Schikkerling.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Good afternoon, Honourable Deputy President. Honourable Deputy President, recent media reporting indicates that gang-related violence on the Cape Flats has increased by as much as 50% since the SANDF deployment under Operation Prosper has begun. So I don't know how you can say that Operation Prosper is prospering, sir. The Cape Flats has seen 4 mass shootings in less than a week, 1 week. Last week, the President said, without any shame whatsoever, that he would have no difficulty looking the mothers of children killed in the Cape Flats in the eye and assuring them that Operation Prosper is prospering. Given these continued levels of violence and loss of life, would you, sir, as the leader of government business, join the President in looking the affected families in the eye and telling them, as the President said, that Operation Prosper is doing everything it can to bring down the levels of gang violence? Or would you face facts and accept that the only solution left on the table is to fix the police and expand policing powers to local and provincial governments? I thank you.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Schikkerling, for the question. Honourable Schikkerling, my heart goes to those mothers in the Cape Flats, as you say, who are losing their loved ones. We will not wait to fix the police before we attend to their problems. That's why I was saying earlier when I was answering Honourable Douglas that perhaps we do need to come to the Cape Flats and talk to those mothers who have real first-hand experience about what is happening there. So I will lead the delegation to the Cape Flats to meet with the mothers there, find out what's happening, so that if there is no progress, we must attend to it. Because I know you have the stats about how crime has increased. I was asking stats myself this morning. Probably I was going to get stats about how it has improved. But I think we'll agree that the better thing is to talk to the people on the ground who have real experiences, because they are not statistics, they are people. And we must deal with that as such and deal with their challenge they face, so that if there's weaknesses in the police, we don't wait to reform the police service. We just bring others and change those who are not doing work and bring those who can do the work to ensure that we address the challenge that the people are facing. So we will keep you informed when we do such a visit, which should be soon, so that we can talk to people on the ground. Thank you very much for your question. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The fourth supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Mkalipi.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Deputy President, are you fine? Are you good?
Very well,
right.
my dear.
Deputy President, the deployment of the army at the Cape Flats is an exercise in futility because it is not a crime intelligence-led operation. Soldiers now are loitering the streets. We now know that SAPS and crime intelligence component of SAPS has been infiltrated by criminal elements. This is revealed by the Madlanga Commission. Do you then, Deputy President, acknowledge this, and what are the immediate actions will you take to ensure that SAPS is freed from control of criminals in uniform, and who are aiding and abating gang in the execution of crimes in the country? Secondly, Deputy President, why are you, as leadership of the country, quiet about this vigilante group that are waking up in the morning every day and beating Africans? Uzofika uthini kula manye ama-African countries, Deputy President, because we are very quiet as a country, we are very quiet as an executive, police are not doing anything, police are not arresting those people. What is your immediate task to ensure that Africans are not beaten up by these vigilantes in this country? Thank you.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Firstly, on the first issue, where you're saying that deployment Operation Prosper is exercise in futility, I think I've already indicated that we're going to look into that by making sure that we go to the area and see what the police are doing there in order to strengthen our intervention. The issue of the vigilante group, I addressed a meeting of NEPAD this morning before I came here, and I did condemn that. But of course, even before I condemned that, I did say that the security forces have been asked to deal with criminality. Of course, there should be law enforcement to deal with people who come into our country illegally, but we're not going to allow mob violence against anybody. Our law enforcement agency must use the law to deal with people who come into the country, and it must not be just a focus on Africans. Anybody who's coming in our country illegally, the security forces must enforce the law. But we must ensure, and we must talk to our people as well, let them not take the law into their own hands. They must leave this thing to government, and there must be no mob violence against anybody. I did say this morning, and we are going to make sure that we strengthen that approach so that we can deal with criminality, but not come across as if South Africa is against other Africans. We will deal with this matter because you are quite right that we're beginning to be read wrongly, where other leaders in Africa are saying, you see, our people are being killed, you do nothing. So we've asked Minister Kachalia to go on the ground, make sure that this thing is addressed. And of course, work with other ministers, not only him. Yes, he will work with other ministers, but we ourselves in our communities, let's talk to our people and ensure that government will continue to prioritize South Africans, whether in jobs and other services, but we will deal with issues of criminals very decisively because we are a country that believes in laws. We are an orderly country. We must never allow any mob psychology and the killing of people when there are laws that can deal with these challenges. Thank you very much for that question, Honourable Mkalipi. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Douglas.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. My question is related to something personal to me.
Yes.
This morning I got a call from my sister. It looks like my nephew's been murdered in the Cape Flats. Murdered, yeah. He was stabbed a few days ago. And we're busy looking for his body. And the reality is that our people are suffering this kind of thing every day. And we're talking about 30 years of doing nothing for our people on the Cape Flats. And the army being sent there, the SANDF being sent there, is a last-ditch effort. But the reality is it's about what are we going to take, how are we going to get our youth off the streets? I'm a member of parliament sitting here, I can't save my own nephew. I can't save my own nephew with everything that's in front of me. I can't save my people. So my question is, when will we talk about the land? When will we talk about the minerals? When will we talk about the things that will take our people out of poverty? Because we're talking about dealing with the symptoms, which is the violence. But we're not dealing with the root cause of the poverty that keeps our people enslaved to gangsterism, drugs. And it's been done to us by this government, and it's been done to us by the people that they are partnering with. So we want to know, when is this going to stop? We don't want debates,
Douglas.
we want answers. And MK is going to stop it if nobody else will.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Douglas, I'm sure everybody in this House do sympathise with the challenge that you are raising now of a member who has been stabbed. You don't even know where he is. As I said earlier, that we're going to strengthen our interventions. But you're quite right that we should not only focus on addressing violence, but what are we doing as a country to ensure economic development? As you say, using our own minerals to develop this country. In fact, it's almost like you were listening to me this morning when I was speaking at NEPAD. I said exactly that South Africa has got minerals, but in the past we extract, we sell. What we must do is local beneficiation. Make sure that we use our own minerals to be able to produce finished goods and create jobs. Because you are quite right. Sometimes people are attracted to wrong things because they are loitering. But this country can create jobs. We have that ability, and I can't agree more with you that that's what we must do. But we will attend to the challenge you raise also of criminality. We need to nip it in the bud and ensure that this country is safe for all its citizens. I thank you, and thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
That concludes questions to the Deputy President, and I thank the Honourable Deputy President.
Long live the
Honourable
DP.
members, I request members to stand and wait for the presiding officer and the mace to leave the chamber. That concludes the business for the day, and the House is adjourned.